I said in the opening, and I'll reiterate here again as we begin the questioning period, that we believe that the facts show that the Biden administration has shown a clear double standard of enforcing the FACE Act in a way that protects pro-abortion activists and facilities while substantially ignoring attacks on pro-life advocates, facilities, and churches. And it is a disgrace that the Justice Department would rather cater to the pro-abortion political movement than protect places that assist pregnant women in need. I'm gonna start just with a brief question of Mr. Dice. From your observation and firsthand experience in litigating these matters, do you agree with our assessment that the current Department of Justice is engaged in selective enforcement of federal law based purely on political motivation?
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. You know, Congress passed the Freedom to Access Clinic Entrances Act to uphold the rule of law in this country. And after a year in which we have seen over 100 different instances of attacks upon life-affirming reproductive health facilities, and as Ms. Del Turco just testified about, even more against houses of worship, it's incumbent upon our leadership to ensure that the full weight of the federal government and the law is being applied. I think the American people would have no less expectation of this committee than to insist that its laws be applied equitably and across the board. And the problem that we have, if I may just wrap up, I'm sorry, is that in order to prosecute these claims, the most difficult part of the entire process for us as lawyers is to have a name of someone to prosecute. And that starts with General Garland. If his DOJ is able to provide to us a name after an investigation, we are happy to utilize the laws that you have passed to defend these reproductive health facilities from the noxious attacks that they've had to withstand over the past year.
Very good. Ms. Del Turco, thank you for researching and reporting on the rise of attacks against churches that we've seen in recent years. It's especially concerning that in the first 3 months of this year, there were approximately 3 times as many attacks on churches as in the same time frame in 2022. And sadly, although many of these acts of violence could be charged under the FACE Act, they have gone unprosecuted. So what do you think is spurring this increased violence against churches in America?
Well, I think there are a lot of factors. We certainly see increasing secularism in the United States, increasing lack of respect for religion, understanding for religion or religious traditions. But in addition, I think it's motivated as well by these political battles that tend to fall along religious lines. When you see Catholic churches being blamed for the Dobbs decision and attacked, that's clearly a problem, right? It's very much a problem when in our political system for democracy, when one side loses a political battle and they go and attack churches. This is a horrendous problem.
Yeah, I'm going to ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record this letter that First Liberty, a correspondence with Senator Warren, and in it is some photographs of some of these abuses. This is Jane's Revenge and other groups, and you know they graffiti on the side of churches, abort the church, and if abortions aren't safe, neither are you, Jane's Revenge, all over the place. Then they go to the pregnancy care centers and they vandalize them. And again, you know, nothing's being done about this. I think every person watching this hearing should recognize that, you know, you could be next. Right now it's churches and pro-life groups and people being targeted that are pro-life, but that doesn't mean that other Americans wouldn't be targeted tomorrow. And it's a disturbing reality that the federal government has gotten too big, too powerful, and it's improperly wielding that power against the American people to appease a political base. The Durham report, as Mr. Jordan noted earlier, makes clear the FBI, for example, the FBI in the Durham report, quote, failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law. My friends, that is a serious problem in a constitutional republic, and it's one that we aim to fix, and we'll be about that. I got less than a minute, but I wanted to turn to Mr. Howe real quick about, you know, speaking of disparate treatment, your story is so compelling, and what the FBI did there to arrest you is astounding. Isn't it true that once you learned, let's get this clear for the record, once you learned that law enforcement was interested in questioning you, you offered to appear voluntarily, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
And so they did this big raid with 20 agents with long guns pointed at you and your 7 young children and your wife, even though you offered to go in without issue. That's correct.
That's correct.
And it was about a year after the event actually took place, right?
That's right.
It seemed to correspond, in our view, with the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe v. Wade, and it was released there. It sent the pro-abortion allies into a frenzy. Do you have an opinion on the timing of why they came to your house and raided you that way?
Sure. Well, real quick, my indictment target letter was preceded the Dobbs leak, and then of course the Dobbs leak was early May, and then of course the Dobbs in June, and then we saw a series of arrests. And then of course I was not expecting that myself, because my attorney said that we would, and I'll read right from their letter, that rather than put Mr. Haupt and his family through needless disruption, we will accept a summons on my client's behalf and bring him to you.
Thank you. I'm out of time. The chair recognizes Mr. Nadler for 5 minutes.